Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you my Wyndham Champions. This is the Picks and Bets show where I'm going to go through all the analysis on my top picks. I'm going to give you guys some of my favorite bets. Of course, we are going to dive into the details, and if you don't want to do that, of course, skip towards the end and you can get right to see who my picks are. But if you are interested in seeing the actual kind of method to the madness, then stick around through this. So, all right, let's get into this. And hey, as always, thank you for checking me out and stopping by. All right, some house cleaning items. Of course, I do have my giveaway. This is for the FedEx Cup playoffs, but I want to start a little early. And what am I doing? I am giving away $1,000 to one lucky subscriber. And all you need to do is simply, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. And of course, click that like button and just tell me who do you think is going to win the FedEx Cup playoffs. And I ask you please just to only do it, give me your pick one time. And of course, do that in the YouTube comments below. All right. If you checked out my preview show yesterday, of course, I go through a lot more larger kind of model analysis. I kind of go through comp courses, but I always like to give you just some quick highlights. And so quickly, I also do how do you win at this course? And everything that shows up from historical information. That approach and putting is really the two key areas. Of course, you got to make birdies. It's going to be a scoring fest. Scrambling shows up. You got to keep it in the fairway. Ball striking is always something that we're looking for. But another big one would be proximity to the pin. 150 to 175, 30% almost of the shots, approach shots coming into the greens, come from that distance. And then, of course, there's a ton of par fours that are 400 to 450, which in PGA terms, that's pretty, short par fours. You got two very gettable par fives between 500 and 550. And then if possible, 3-putt avoidance, we got to not do that. So that was the big model that gave you guys a bunch of different people to look at yesterday. I'm going to, of course, use a mini model when we go in of the key ones to help kind of slim down this 156 players that we're going to have to find out who are going to be the best plays. And then the last thing I always do is I do run these guys through a kind of a comp course comparables to see where they come out. And the ones that we're going to reference, of course, we can look at last weekend where they had a WGC FedEx St. Jude. Of course, that was at TPC Southwind. I think the Players is a good one at TPC Sawgrass. You got a couple Donald Ross design courses, which would be at the Rocket Mortgage, the Detroit Country Club, and of course, East Lake where they play the Tour Championship. Those are also, the Tour Championship is a par 70 and Bermuda. And then over to the right, you got RBC Heritage, good comparable course. Bermuda Greens, a little shorter track. You got to make sure that you, hit your tee shots. Don't have to be long. Just hit them where you want so they have the best approach. You got RSM par 70 Bermuda. And then, of course, Wailea, where they play the Sony, you got a par 70 Bermuda. Okay, so that'll be the comparable courses that I will be referencing. Of course, you've got some information there in front of you showing my larger model with those guys and how they did on those comparable courses. Okay, with that said, let's go into the analysis and go through the guys that I'm looking at. Okay, so jumping over to Fantasy National, and you will notice that the pricing is going to be from DraftKings, and everything I'm going to be talking about here is going to be from a DFS perspective. So this is going to give you kind of my core 15 plays that I'll be building my teams with. Tomorrow I'll come out with my value plays. So my picks will be from, of course, the most expensive down to 7,000. Typically I end up around 7,500, but I'm going to go down to 7,000 today. I'm going to give you my 15, but I'm also going to talk very briefly about the guys that I'm not picking. And also you can see the analysis here. I had one subscriber ask me to not just show the guys that I'm looking at. Most of the time I always did. The last time, I believe it was for the Olympics. I just had it where I was just talking about the guys. So you'll also see the guys I'm not picking in their information. I just won't dive into the details with those guys. And of course, I leverage this model and analysis, but it's not the only thing I use when I make the picks, even the comp courses. Also, it's the knowledge I have because I watch way too much golf. So anyways, starting right off the bat, you got Hideki Matsuyama coming at 11,000. Oh, let me back up a little bit. Let's talk about what you're looking at here. If you are new, I always just think everybody that's watching has already been with me for a while, but as I mentioned, I create a larger model. This is the slimmed down version in the 5 key stroke gain categories that I'm looking at. Number 1, I got approach. Next would be putting. You got the proximity, 150 to 175. I already mentioned how many shots come in from there. Scrambling just shows up here that guys that can scramble do well here, and then good drives. So that's the 5 keys. To the right, we got birdies gained looking over the last 12 rounds. And then to the right, you got recent results and, of course, tournament history. And we have quite a bit of tournament history here, so we can leverage that. And I have no filters on. I am going to pop once in a while a filter on just to show you how it significantly can change some of these guys' rankings. And if you see this over here, this is the big model ranking. And then I'm looking at the last 12 rounds. So that's the last, typically 3 tournaments these guys played. And I always kind of try to keep it as close to as possible. I could really make it even over like the last tournament or last couple tournaments, but I think the last 3 tournaments or last 12 rounds is a really good sample to see where these guys are at this exact snapshot, and also gives you a little further look than just, But if you take it out past 12 rounds, typically you're going to start to get information that there just is not current. So that is why I keep it there. Okay. With that said, the top 2 key factors that I'm weighing a lot of my decisions on from an analysis side is going to be the approach and the putter. And you can just see with Hideki, of course, he putted pretty well at the last event at the WGC. And actually, if we go on him, let's just do that for real quick here. Of course, why I'm not picking is Bermuda is his worst putting surface, and he's not a good putter. He can get hot. We've seen that. And you can kind of look. It's kind of funny. It's kind of like an on and off thing. So at the Memorial, he lost almost 10 strokes putting. Then he gained, over a half stroke at the U.S. Open. And then at the WGC, even though it looked like he was putting well, a lot of that took place on Sunday. He still lost a stroke putting, but just ball strike the shit out of it. So he can do that, and it's not that I expect. But, if you look long-term with Hideki, typically he's more off than he is on. So with that said, I'm looking for guys. I think this is, like I said, a putting contest. Typically, if you look at the past winners, what they've done very well is putted very well and approach. Hideki's got 1, but you can see out of 156 guys, he's 139th over his last 12 rounds. And then the next guy that I'm falling on, or the first guy that I'm actually kind of falling on, is Louis. Now, going into this, I was not sure if I was going to pick Louis as one of my key core plays. A lot of that's due to just how much golf this guy's played. He's becoming like a Sungjae Im, where he's playing like everything. His only break he's had would be the Olympics, and that was like a week off. But you can see, the Memorial, he had an 18th. In the Jude, he fell apart on Sunday a bit. He had a T17. And that was really it. That Sunday round is what made me a little nervous to think maybe this is finally hitting him. But the guy out of this field is the most elite on approach and putting right now. And you can see he does everything I want really well. So also even the birdies, you can see a little bit of a downslope at the WGC. But other than that, the guy has just been a machine. So there's no reason, from everything I could think of, except the narrative is, has he played too much golf? And so you can make that. Over the history of his career, Bermuda is his second best putting surface. But, with that said, he's been putting this year has been ridiculous. I think he's led over the last 24 rounds. I think he's second in putting, but over the whole year of his body of work, he's led the whole field in putting. So he's number 1 in putting. Simplest way to put it, I guess. If we wanted to go look at just so he's never played the Wyndham, essentially, and that's what's also interesting. Also, I get nervous that Louis could withdraw. He's done that before. What comes to my mind is the API, the Arnold Palmer he withdrew like the morning of and screwed a lot of people, me included. So that could be a possibility. But also his buddy Charles Schwartzel's here, who got him to play in, I'm trying to think what tournament it was now. Is it the 3M? Maybe it was the 3M. That was his first time he played there. Yeah, it was right after the Open. And so maybe that's it too. The South Africans are hanging together. But anyways, with that said, let's go look. So we don't have to look at Wyndham, but we can look, of course, the WGC St. Jude. We just saw he had a 17th. We can look at a few more of those. He had a 6th before that. And then he had a 20th before that. So that would be all played on TPC Southwind. If we look at his players' results, best showing was 2017. He had a 2nd, 41st recently. I don't know if he played the Rocket. No, he did take the Rocket mortgage off, so he skipped Detroit. Shocker. The Tour Championship at Eastlake, he's had a 21st and a 23rd. RBC miscut Reese. Well, that wasn't this year, but the previous, and a 7th in 2015. And RSM, only played it once, miscut in 20. And then what about the Sony? Has never played at Wailea. Not a Hawaii guy. Okay. But anyways, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot I have to show you to either you're in and out on Louis. Either you're just like, the guy's in amazing form and he's not, he's going to be fine. He's not going to be tired. He'll, have 4 good rounds. Or you could be like, again, he might just be getting burned out. And it's kind of shocking going to the FedEx playoffs. He doesn't really need any points to make it all the way to Eastlake. So maybe he's just trying to get points built up so he's number 1 ranked. If he won this tournament, it probably would get him to the number 1. So maybe that is his driver. The next guy, again, I didn't really think I'd maybe get on Webb. He's just been kind of off this year. I think I talked about he was dealing with some back issues. The things that Webb needs to do to be Webb, driving the ball well, approach, the long approach. The putter's been even not that great. But amazing enough, if I click on this filter for Bermuda, and you can see on my big model, he was ranked 113th, which, doesn't get you too excited at all. But as soon as I put on Bermuda, you can see how this changed quite significantly. He went to number 6. Okay, so if we jump over and look at what rounds are pulls from, you can see here that it's all recent, right? So just the WGC St. Jude, the PGA is pretty recent. I mean, it's been, back in May, but still recent, than RBC. So with that said, it's amazing once you put on Bermuda greens, what this guy does. And I don't have to sell you, if you know anything about the Wyndham and Webb Simpson, I mean, you can quickly look at his past history here. Since 2017, a third, tied for second, a tied for third. I really kind of feel like, if he was coming in kind of with not the best form, he would do well. And you can see, he's starting to make a few more birdies. Of course, he had that amazing Sunday, 7 birdies on Sunday at the WGC. You can see approach and putting, like all the statistics. That procs from 150 is a little off, but that's everything I kind of want to look at. If I turn off the Bermuda, you can see it's quite a different story. In recent results, he's had a little better showing. He had a couple miscuts. And like I said, tournament history is what's, is driving this price and ownership. We go click on Webb. You can see Bermuda is his best putting surface by far. If we go look at some of the, so we already know he had a really good showing at the WGC St. Jude. Let's see over his career. Yeah, 12th, a second. So that course should and does just, it fits Webb. We go look at the Wyndham we already checked out. What about the players? Miscut recently, won there in 2018. He's at a 16th, a 16th. If we look at the Rocket, he had a miscut recently, but did have an 8th previously. If we look at the Tour Championship, he's had a 4th. A 4th, again, that's out of, 30 guys, I believe. A 12th. So pretty good at Eastlake. And if I go look at the RSM, a 2nd, a 3rd, a 7th, again, all pretty good showings. And at the Sony, recently at a 4th, actually probably one of his better showings of the year, a 3rd, a 4th. So long story short, I wasn't really sure that I was going to be playing Webb Simpson, but I think from all perspectives, I think he's going to be my core. These are my top 2 guys I'm going in with. And then I'm going to be skipping down a bit. I think Will Z, you can make a great narrative that he needs this tournament to make the FedEx. I mean, technically his season's over if he doesn't, win this event. So that's a bit of pressure. He, finally did kind of show up at the St. Jude. He had a T8th, but kind of misfiring in between. A lot of it's been with the putter. And that's what I need. I need really good guys on approach, and I need guys that can putt. Patrick Reed, again, has played a ton of golf. I think from a points perspective for the Ryder Cup, he's trying to, play from his FedEx Cup standings. He's trying to, play. It hasn't been that great of a season since really the Farmers, since he had that win And that's back a while now. So, but from a putter, he's always known to be a great putter, but his putter actually hasn't been as good as it has been. His approach has been a bit off. You can see proximity from 150 is off. The driver's a bit off. So from all that, I'm kind of passing on Reed. Kokrak was actually someone I thought for sure I'd play, but really it's this $10,000 price tag. Pretty much if you between Webb or Kokrak, or Louis and Kokrak, I'm going to go with them. Now you can see his birdies have kind of tailed off here. You can see, where he's been ranking, had a miscut at the U.S. Open, came back with a 12th at Rocket Mortgage, where I thought he'd do very well. 26 at the Open, And then the St. Jude. So I just think maybe, the putter has come back to life or back to earth a little bit. So, see his scrambling's down, the procs from 150, his approach, just some things there for that price tag. I'm going to go in a different direction. You can make an argument this course should set up for Brian Harmer, but, so should have the WC St. Jude. I thought he'd be a good play there, and not really. But again, you can make an argument, still making birdies. What's his past results? So, a few miscuts at a 6th and a 27th, if you're curious about his past history. Fleetwood, same thing, right? He's outside looking at the FedEx Cup standings. It just had a bad year, and there's nothing that I've seen that wants me to point me to Fleetwood. Sungjae Im, again, if he didn't have this cost to him, he just hasn't done enough. I mean, you could see, almost like Tommy Fleetwood-esque, kind of in the 30s and 40s, making cuts, but just really doing nothing. You see the birdies are down. And that's just too much to pay. I mean, for that price tag, I'm going to Russ Henley, and you can see in my larger model, he's number one. And before I looked at anything from a statistical standpoint, I already was plugging in Russ Henley. I mean, give me a guy that is awesome on approach and puts the lights out on Bermuda. That's Russ Henley. And then you can see here he does everything else well. Of course, right, he's had good showings over these last few, miscut at the Open and the Memorial, but the U.S. Open, he had that chance. It was up there on Saturday as one of the leaders. We can go click on Russ and kind of run him through a few. And I don't know if I showed his Wyndham results. So let's go look at the Wyndham. So he had a 9th here last year, and then a 31st, a miscut and a 41st. So that's his history here at the Wyndham at Sedgefield. If we look at the WGC St. Jude, he has never played, and of course did not play last weekend. What about the players? It's kind of funny. So that I knew that was going to happen. It's a course that I think he should do it well at. And this happens with a lot of the guys. You can see at a 17th, a 24th, a 35th, but then 3 missed cuts. That's just the way it kind of goes with some of these guys, like a Siwoo Kim. The Rocket Mortgage, he played it in 2019, miscut. What about the Tour Championship? He made it there in 2017 at a 3rd at Eastlake, and then 12th in 2014. What about the RSM Classic? He's played that a bit. He's had a 4th, a 6th a while back, a 10th. But most recently, he had a 30th and a couple of miscuts before that. And then the Sony, he actually won it back in 2013. I do remember that. A 13th, an 11th, and then a couple miscuts, but pretty good at Wailea. So again, I mean, I was already on Russ Henley. I've already got a bet on him. It's not that great of odds from a betting perspective. I would like a little better, but long story short, I'm all over Russ. Matthew Wolff, he could be a play here. I mean, I think from Showdown, I'll play him. The guy can just, have that hot round. He's been having usually a hot Thursday and then kind of tails off. But he's, just still a little too inconsistent in some areas. Adam Scott, you can just see, I mean, he's making cuts, but just hasn't shown anything. Still getting a little wild with the driver. You can see 97th. If you don't know what good drives stand for, you can see it up at my thing over there. Long and short, either they're hitting a fairway or they're hitting like the fringe, and then they're hitting their green in regulation. That's all you need. I don't need, they don't count fairways if you're in the first cut. And so you kind of lose some knowledge there. So I don't like that. Siwoo Kim has had amazing results at this course. But you can see, man, and then, of course, this is pulling up. I think I said he lost 17 strokes on approach at the WGC. The putter's been a disaster. Now, we all know that one swing thought, something changes, and he could turn it right over. But right now, at that price tag and 8% ownership projected, there's no way I can go with it. And it's all on tournament history. I mean, if you dive into what he's done over his recent work, I mean, since the Amex win, there's just been nothing there. Bubba Watson, I think I had him. He just didn't make the final cut. I had a couple other guys down here who wanted to play more, but you can see, been pretty hot. 51st at the 3M, but a 6th and 19th. Been making a lot of birdies, been hitting fairways, pretty decent approach. The putter was the one thing that, finally just kind of determined. Bobby Mack, again, I look at these two guys, both lefties, very similar. It's like almost a European. Not that Bobby Mack works the ball like Bubba, but, distance, do a lot of things good. Just it's all up to the putter. But you see he's had some decent results. It'll be his first time playing the Wyndham. The next guy I land on is Kevin Na. And again, if you guys have been with me for a little bit, I am not a huge fan of playing Kevin Na. But as I mentioned, where Kevin Na pops up is a couple courses. And this is one of them because this is one of his opportunities that he can win. And the guy is just a super professional, competitive T4, T10, a T18. His putter, as I mentioned, even though this is showing he's ranked 5th, but overall this year his putter has not been where it used to be. You can see approaches a little, but he is making birdies. He does everything else pretty good. And if we go plug in on Kevin, let's go take a look. We already know has done very well at the Wyndham. Or we can look at his putter split. So Bermuda, second best, gains a quarter stroke. Bent's his best. Of course, the WGC St. Jude here. We just recently had a 23rd, but we'll go see there's some others. So a 35th, a 43rd. So, he's done pretty good on TPC Southwind. We already looked at the Wyndham. What about the players? I know I'm still pissed. You don't see the withdrawal, but if you listen to me last week, I had picked Na, and I said I would never pick him again after what he did, kind of withdrawing after he had that blow up on 17. I think it was on Friday or Saturday. The guy should have just finished. But neither here or there. The Rocket, he's never played the Rocket Mortgage. It's kind of odd because not a big fan of the Detroit. The Tour Championship, last time he was there was in 20, and he had a 27th, which nothing to really write home about there. RBC, again, should be a good fit for him. He's had an 8th, a 4th, a 10th. Had a miscut recently. What about the RSM? Hasn't played that in a long time. And then the Sony, of course, he won here recently. And I keep thinking, did he win? So he won what? Charles Schwab the year before. And I don't know why, but every time I think of him, I think of Shriners. Okay, 2019 when he won in Vegas. So another course you got to go super low at. And you can see he gained 14 strokes. That's crazy. And I'm pretty sure that's actually bent. Okay. All right, so I'm on Kevin Na. You got Gary Woodland, again, just trying to I think he is on the bubble for the FedEx. And he just, hasn't been in. He actually played. It's kind of funny. Let me go click on him because they don't show it, which they should. The Barracuda. He played the Barracuda. Maybe it's here. Huh. Shows up for the other guys. I think he had an okay. I don't even remember where he finished, but if you're not top 5 at the Barracuda for Gary Woodland, there's some problems as far as I'm concerned. And we already know that. You can see here. So, nope. And that's a lot of money for Gary Woodland, who's done really nothing. And it's funny, they showed a 3M Open, which he did show up. It had a T11, but why they're not showing the Barracuda, I have no idea. Ricky Fowler, again, a guy on the FedEx bubble. I think he's one spot from falling out. So, he's got to have a good tournament. He has been putting better. You can see that here. His approach has been a little better. I mean, the driver, which is kind of funny, that's been going wayward, but that's the one thing that was saving him. But again, for this kind of price tag, give me Seamus Power, who recently won the Barbasol, T8, T19, T19. The guy has been in fuego. I'm going to take the hot hand. You see the birdies are out of the roof. He's top, out of the two things that I want the most, approach and putting, he's 10th and 12th out of this whole field. So I'm all over Seamus. We can go look at his history, but a lot of this is on recent form. But you can see over his life, his career, again, a quarter stroke gain when he puts on Bermuda. And I'm not sure, but we can look at the Wyndham. He had a 27th last year, a 60th, an 83rd, and a miscut. So not too bad history here. WGC, never played a WGC. What about the players? He had a 35th in 2019. The Rocket, he had the 8th, a 12th before that. Donald Ross design course. I don't think he's ever made it to the Tour Championship. Maybe this year. RBC Heritage, he had a 6, played it once at Harbor Town 2019. Sea Island RSM, a couple, 3 miscuts, but again, that's back in 2019. I mean, Seamus Power, right? Like a lot of these guys I'm going to be talking about, used to be a $6,000 guy, right? And then now he's just in Fuego with form. Miscut in the beginning of the year at Wailea, and then so he hasn't had a lot of success at Wailea. But again, for the price, I will stick with Seamus Power. Kisner, should fit this pretty well, but he's just, a 73rd or 63rd. It's kind of fallen off, so I'm kind of out on him. Streelman was really close. I will probably play Kevin on Showdown. It's the putter. If it gets hot, it could be awesome. You can see it's either a top 20 or a miscut. Munoz, I'll talk about him and my favorite bets. I had him selected. He just didn't make the final cut. But, he at John Deere just putted the lights out. Had a good showing. I mean, the guy is a super hot guy. He's good for Showdown. He's good for first round leader. But for 4 days, it's been a little hit or miss. So, I'll sprinkle him in. I always do. I like Munoz. He's just a guy that I play, but I'm not going to make him one of my top 15. Funny enough, I'm going to end up on Charles Schwartzel. Of course, and also you can look at Munoz's past results here, not the greatest. You got Schwartzel. It's been a while, but he had a T3. Hitting the top 2 things I like. He's been making a lot of putts, a lot of birdies. If we go click on Mr. Schwartzel, look at his putting split. So Bermuda's his best putting surface, gaining almost a quarter stroke against the field when he's on Bermuda. And I think we already looked at the Wyndham, so we don't need to do that. What about WGC? So it's been a while, but the St. Jude had a 31st. I think that's the only one that we're really concerned about there. We look at the players, a couple miscuts, but a second back in 2018. And of course, he is a major champion. He did win the Masters, so I forget that at times. He made it to the Tour Championship way back in 2016. So that's really nothing to go off of. RBC at a 41st, a 12th, and a couple miscuts. What about RSM? Didn't make the cut in 2020. And then the Sony doesn't play. Not a Hawaii guy either. So a little bit of recent form. I like his game. I just think it fits well here. So like I said, I mean, the big model liked him. This proximity, not my favorite. But everything I know about right now, I think I'm going to go to Charles Schwartzel. Rose, no thank you. The only thing you did was have 1 round at the Masters this year. The rest have just been junk. EVR coming off a win, which again, it doesn't show at the Barracuda, which I thought, let me check EVR. I want to see if it lists. Because some of these guys, yeah, it's odd. It was showing the Barracuda on some of these guys. I don't know why it's not there right now. But EVR, you can say, hey, he was really showing no form. I mean, he hit that 10th at Palmetto at T10, but he did just win the Barracuda. I mentioned that in my preview show. So somebody could turn to, especially if that ownership's that low. It could be on a heater. So you can go to the narrative that typically, it's his first win on the PGA Tour. He's won on the European Tour. He's also over 30 years old. So, you could say, is he going to have the win a hangover? I don't know. Could he just be in really good form? When he gets hot, he's someone to ride. He can stay hot for a period of time. So I might sprinkle some EVR in at that kind of ownership projections. Snedeker, past winner here. It was a while ago. When was it? So 2018. But he just hasn't been playing, as good. But you can see, pretty solid. Could be someone I sprinkle in, but just not going to make my top 15. Mito Piero, I call it my cheap Joaquin Neiman. Right, he had a good showing at the Olympics. He's at a T6, a T5th. Again, he was on my, it was kind of honestly between Jonathan and him.
I just ended up falling on Jonathan. I think it was just from the modeling side, but you can see the putter. Mitos had a little more success. They both have been on the upswing with birdies. So I'll just tell you, like I said, it was really a coin flip between these two guys. But I'll sprinkle in some Mito. You got Johnny Vegas, who's been heating up a couple T2s, T11, a T57. His past experience here does not good. But he had a T8 back in 2014. If we go click on him, his worst best putting surface, I always say is Bermuda. I always go back to the players where that was I don't even know. Let's go look at it. What was it, 2019? So 2019 when he made that crazy putt, I believe it was on 17. That always sticks in my head. They always show the Tiger, the putt on Tiger head at the players, but really the best putt I've ever seen on that island green was funny enough was Vegas, where he had a third. So I just pulled the players. We already looked at the Wyndham, the WGC St. Jude. He had a 53rd back in 2018, but that was actually would have been at Firestone. What about the Rocket? He didn't play the Rocket. Wow. That's kind of... No one likes to go to Detroit, man. I can't figure that out. A 30th, a 24th at the Tour Championship when he's made it there. The RBC at a 17th in 2020. And the Sony, a 44th, a 46th, a 50th. And anybody from Detroit, I'm from Detroit area, so I just kind of laugh. It's just not a big drawing area. Okay, but anyways, I like Johnny Vegas. Of course, JT Poston, past winner here. Had that second at the Barbasol. I don't know if he played the Barracuda. Something I have to look into. But, you can see his putter is way up there. Does everything pretty well. I'll definitely be sprinkling some JT Poston. Glover, had the win at the John Deere. Again, I like him for Showdown. You got the Gooch where, he's had a bunch of made cuts, but, when I think of Taylor Gooch, where I think he does better is where he can hit the long irons and tougher courses. So I'm actually, kind of off on those guys. I'm on Hughes. I mean, great recent form. The guy's a putting genius. You can see his approach. I'm going to kind of, I guess you could technically go JT Poston or Hughes. I mean, kind of the same guy. Bermuda gains over a quarter stroke against the field when he's putting on Bermuda. Do we already look at the Wyndham? Yeah, so he has had a 22nd, a 66. So pretty good, history here. WGC St. Jude. He had a 44th back in 2020. What about the players? Miscut. Best shown was a 16th, 2017. What about the Rocket? A 14th this year, a 21st before. It's Donald Ross course. Made the Tour Championship back in, I remember he had that hot run in the FedEx playoffs. So he had a 14th. And I think he was like the game changer. I think he was like the cheapest price guy. And so if you had Mackenzie Hughes last year during the Tour Championship, he probably was the guy that could have won it for you. The RBC, nothing great there, but you got to be really accurate with the driver. That is the one area with Mr. Mackenzie Hughes that can go a little sideways. RSME won. I think it was his first win, 2016 on Sea Island. But then after that, there you go. Win there, then, 3 miscuts at a 65th. So there is golf for you right there. And then at Wailea, a 19th, most recently, a 27th, and a couple sprinkle miscuts. So there you go. Do it with that what you may, but I'm on Mackenzie Hughes. Patty Kazire, I'm going to play him, and he's also one of my bets. But, he's not going to make my core 15. Funny enough, crazy. Instead I felt, the Hank Laboda. He had that withdrawal, nothing due to injury, right? It was something personal, family related. But other than that, the guy's just been en fuego. The putter's been en fuego. He's going to give you a solid 4 rounds. The difference with Patty is he's going to give you typically a good Thursday and a good Sunday. It's just the Fridays, Saturdays that have been killing Patty Kazire. But hey, I'm betting him. He will be in my DFS lineups. He's just not going to be on my core plays. So Hammer and Hank will make it. We look at past results, T42 and T72. Again, you got to remember, Hammer and Hank over the last, 7-8 tournaments has just been going nuts. And I'm just going to keep riding the hot hand until it tells me not to. You can see Bermuda, if you want to make an argument, is his worst putting surface over his career. We already looked at the Wyndham for him, right? Yeah, he had a 42nd and a 78th. Yes, we just looked at that. What about WGC St. Jude? He's never played a WGC event. He's never played the Players. What about the Rocket? Yeah, he had a 4th, a couple of miscuts before that. Never been the Tour Championship. RBC. That's odd. Never played the RBC RSM. He's had to play the RSM. Miscut, a 30, a 32nd. And what about Wailea? Miscut this year. So, again, just riding a hot hand. I'm going to stick with it. Zach Johnson, like a Kevin Na, not my favorite play at all. But everything, again, like a Russ Henley, points me to Zach Johnson. His game's gotten a little better. He was getting a little wayward with the driver, but that's kind of come along. He does the two things I like, approach and putting, especially from he's, I always said, a kind of a cheap Justin Thomas with the pitching wedges, or with wedges. You can see the putter, he's been making birdies. It's got a good showing here, T7th, a T5th. So again, everything that, you would expect. Ownership's less than 10% right now, but that probably will change. I would guess it'll get higher. And if we go look at some of the comparables, Bermuda, he gains a little over almost a quarter stroke against the field when putting on Bermuda. And we already looked at the Wyndham, so let's go. What about WGC St. Jude? That's a while ago, and I believe that would be at Firestone. Yeah, that's not at TPC Southwind. The Players, like everybody, kind of a mixed bag results. Earlier days, better. But a 41st here recently. The Rocket, again, not so much. Tour Championship, it's been a while. 2015, he had an 8th. What about the RBC? Yeah, it's kind of funny. I also think this course, RBC, now you can see way back at Harbor Town, he had a 2nd in 2012. Last best show was 2019, but a couple of miscuts recently. But that's the driver. I guarantee. Well, let's go look. I can prove that. Well, so he lost off the tee here game, but his approach was actually what hurt him. I would have suspected the driver. Harold Varner, kind of on off. He had actually, I think his best showing was at RBC Heritage. So you could make an argument. I think he had a 2nd place there. So you could make an argument that, he could do well there. Ryan Moore, this fits. I've got a couple other Ryan Moores that I'm playing. Brennan Grace, another one you could definitely plug in. CT Pan, right? One out of that playoff for the bronze at the Olympics recently. So someone that you could look to. Also has won at RBC Heritage. I think that might be his only career win. The next guy, so really I look at some of these guys like Armour, Moore, Garnett, as almost like the same players. So for cheaper, I will go with Ches Reavie. I have a bet on him 100-1. You can see he's been, trending, good results at 11th, the 59th, and 18th, the 25th. So Ches's game was off in the beginning of the year, but been coming along. Not the greatest history here, so which probably got his price a little lower. But I think this is a good spot for him to strike. He's, last 12 rounds, he's 15th out of the field on approach. Putter, but he's 2nd from 150 to 175. He hits the ball in the fairway. Ches Reavie also, too, probably a couple years back, man, a guy from a birdie perspective was lighting up. Can you see over his life of his career, he loses almost a quarter stroke on Bermuda. So you can make an argument there, not to play him. We already looked at the Wyndham, not the greatest, but I think, I'm not really holding that against him. St. Jude, TPC Southwind, he had a 6 last year. 27th before that. The Players, a couple miscuts. A lot of miscuts, actually. What about the Rocket? So he'll go to Detroit. A couple miscuts. And the RSM might not be going any further. Would he miscut both times? RSM miscut recently at 33rd back in 2015. What about the Sony? Give me something. 67th, but, I guess you can go back to 2019. So from a comparable course, Ches Reavie, it's not really grading out that great, but from an analysis and a model and everything I've been seeing recently, I like him here. I'm going with it. Another guy I thought it was Lanto Griffin, even though not the greatest recent form, but Lanto can get super streaky hot. And, from an ownership side, I kind of like it. So he's going to be one of my core plays. You can look at from a statistical, say, well, I don't know what you're really doing, but what I do know about Lanto is he typically can keep it in the fairway, really good on approach. It's all about, can that putter click? And we can go look at Lanto, and we're just going to look. You can see Bermuda is his best putting surface. So that's one thing, gains almost a quarter stroke. And I didn't do this, but I'm just going to look. You can see his putter is what's been killing him recently. Let me find where he's putted the best. Sanderson Farms, that is Bermuda. CJ Cup is bent. Zozo. That's bent. Sorry about that. Let's go try that again. Houston Open, that would be Bermuda. The Sony, we're just talking about Bermuda. I'm just seeing where he's gotten, his hottest with the putter. Let me confirm. I'm pretty sure Sanderson. Yeah, Sanderson Farm is Bermuda. You could also, that's a bit of a good comparable course. It's a par 72, but, from a yardage standpoint, you got to keep it in the fairway. Pretty good comparable. So we'll throw that in on his side. Also, I'll run the comparables for you guys with him. I didn't do that, did I? All right. The Wyndham played her once, 57, so nothing to write home about there. WGC St. Jude never played. What about the players? Pretty good showing this year at 35th. What about the Rocket? Played there twice, 25th to 21st. Tour Championship got there in 2020, got an 18th, which, about average of the field. What about RBC? Miscut in 2020. How about Sea Island? Couple miscuts. Don't like that. And then Wale at a 7th back a couple years, well, a year and a half ago now, a 41st here recently. So, again, what I know with Lanto's game, you're really kind of hoping on the putter and a little bit, people think are kind of off Lanto. He was the flavor of the month for a little bit, but, I like him. Doug Gim, can make arguments. This could fit him well. Just, it's all about the putter. Patrick Rogers. I mean, really, if you're going to play Lanto, you could, make the same argument for Gim. I just like Lanto better. That's just the honest truth. Patrick Rogers has shown, had that T5 at the Barbasol, making birdies. I mean, I think a good showdown play, for, a little more than maybe a 4-day classic play. Adam Schenk, has been playing really well, right? A lot kind of falls. It's kind of funny if you put Schenk, Seamus Powers, and Hammer and Hank Laboda, all the same, right? They were all $6,000 plays. They've all, all of a sudden just hit this Infuego kind of run. And, I'm sticking on it. Some of the guys, are like, I'm not going to play them. They're going to fall. Well, I'll wait till they fall. But right now, I'm on them. And also, again, for whatever reason, Barracuda is not showing up, but Adam Schenk was your 54-hole leader going into that. I think he ended up third or fourth after all said and done. Bermuda is a positive surface. I don't know why it's not showing Barracuda here again. Let's go, and I don't know if I looked at the Wyndham. So a couple miscuts, but at 51st last year. Did not play at the WGC. I doubt he has played at the Players once. And miscut, that was this year. How about the Rocket? So, made a cut every time at the Rocket. Donald Ross track. Never going to play at the Tour Championship. RBC, 25th recently. A couple miscuts. RSM, you had a 23rd or 48th. And how did you do at the Sony? A lot of miscuts. So, not a big fan of the Wild A. Let's say maybe, does he play well in the win? Yep. I don't know why. And I think that's, nope, that is not. I got two more for you. Down here at getting towards the value plays, honestly. Bo Hoag. This, I'm going to call it a model pick. Everything from a statistical modeling is telling me to play this guy. And, I've watched a little bit. He's popped up. I always, you can get this guy confused with Tom Hoagie. not the same guy. This is the Ohio State kind of player, or came out of Ohio State. But again, really good recent form. Played here once at a T42. You can see some ownership's already looking at him. So other people plugging in the model, he is popping up. If we go just take a look a little deeper into Mr. Bohogue, Bermuda is not his best surface, but it is a positive surface. I already looked at the Wyndham. I don't know how much of any of this is going to come up for him. So he's never played a WGC. He did play the Players this year, miscut. What about the Rocket? He had a 32nd here recently. Don't even worry about the Tour Championship. What about the RBC? Miscut recently. What about the RSM? He had a 30th and a 75th. And then what about the Sony? Miscut recently, but a 9th. So, again, kind of riding a hot hand. You see his approach is really where I like it. He hits the driver well. Been making birdies. Good recent results. So, I'm on Bogey Hoagie. My last pick is actually Ryan Armour. And, you can see projected ownership at it's maybe your best value at 7,000 right now. Almost kind of a misprice. I don't even know if I've looked at him from an odds perspective, but not a bad bet either. But like I said, great recent form. Done well here. So it's kind of odd why I have no idea why DraftKings has got him priced at 7,000. I don't know. I'm just going to go scroll up. I just want to see. So Kevin Na at 8,800, you could say is a worse play than Ryan Armour from everything you could see. So I don't know. You're getting a discount on him, so he's going to be probably pretty chalky. But you can see from a modeling, he's en fuego on everything you want. Great tournament history, great recent results. Let's go plug in Mr. Armour and see what else we can see. Bermuda is a negative, but barely, like negative 0.02, so you can't really count that. I count it more just as a neutral surface. What about WGC? Hasn't played the Players. 55th recently, so that's good. He made the cut. A couple of miscuts before that. Has he played? Nope, never made the Tour Championship. Ooh, what about the RBC? Of course, that should fit him well, and really not the greatest results. I mean, 3 made cuts, but Ryan Armour should do better than that there. And then what about the Sony? I'd say kind of mix, a 30-second, a 20-second, nothing great. But again, good recent form, great price. Just is a guy that I think of like a Ches Reavie that should do well at this course. Okay, that's it from the analysis perspective for the top 15. And let's go wrap this thing up. Okay, so summarize my Fab 5. These are my top 5 DFS plays. Leading out with Louis, and hopefully he does not fall asleep like that out there. This pick, the only thing that's got me nervous is that he's just played so much golf. So if Louis is going to blow up or withdraw or have a bad week, I feel like this is the tournament. But everything else is telling me to play him, so I got to play Louis. Same with Webb. I mean, Webb owns this course. Literally, he might actually own part of this course. I know he has a house, or did have a house here. I'm guessing he still does. Of course, named his daughter. You're going to hear all that fun stuff. Everything here should tells you to play Webb, and I'm just going to kind of look at it. And like I said, when I clicked on Bermuda, he became 6th, went from 113th to 6th. So kind of tells you something there. Russ Henley, actually my favorite play. Great. Pretty good recent form. I'm just going to put it that way. He's had mixed, but I mean, really good. And Bermuda and approach and putting, I just think of Russ Henley. You got Seamus Power, of course, recent win at the Barbasol. Just great recent form. And then another recent form guy, of course, is Hammer and Hank Laboda. Hopefully nothing comes up and he's, doesn't withdraw on Friday when he's like 400 for the tournament. Next 5, Kevin Now. Just have a good round, Kevin. Again, this is kind of my kryptonite. I always say pick, but I like Kevin Now here. Good plays for him. Same with Zach Johnson. Probably a couple of my worst players to play. I don't like these guys to play them. They're just blah. But this is where they can strike, so I got to put them in. Matt Hughes, again, great recent form, great putter. Everything here should fit Mr. Mackenzie Hughes. You got the hot hand of another guy, Adam Schenk. Like I said, should have won the Barracuda here recently. He's due to break through. This could be a place for him.
And then Lanto, this is more of my own personal kind of how I know Lanto's game. I think he could do really well here. The modeling doesn't tell you, recent form doesn't tell you, even course history doesn't tell you. Just this is kind of my own rogue. I think he's going to do well. I just know where he plays well, and this should be it. My final five would be Johnny Vegas, been playing well. Is not the guy you would kind of think of. You don't really need length here, but he is accurate. Has been putting better, so that's the reason why he's getting plugged in. I told you, Ryan Armour, probably one of your better value plays at 7,000. I think he's a perfect fit for this course. Bohogue, again, just good recent form. Everything's showing that he should do well this weekend. Ches Reavie, again, right in that Ryan Armour, Bryce Garnett, all those guys, just fits. So I like Ryan Armour. I also like him 100 to 1 to bet. And last but not least, the South Africans have been doing well and winning. And Charles Schwartzel's due for another win, so he could do really well here. Okay. And then for my favorite bets, I did something a little different for you guys. What you're looking at there in the middle, this is looking at the last 4 rounds for the first round. So the round 1, looking over the last 4 round 1s. There you go. That's probably a better way to say it. And then this is what I use for Showdown, my model. And this is looking at specifically birdies. And so when you click that all in, this is odds for winning the tournament. These are the guys that have had the best first rounds over the last 4 tournaments they played. Funny enough, Hank Laboda comes up, Johnny Vegas. You can see the guys that pop up. Sebastian Munoz. So right off the bat, he's my auto first round bet every time. The guy, just look at the first round leaders every time he's in a tournament. Either he's leading or he's going to be up there. I probably just jinxed us all, but 55 to 1. I don't like, usually you get better odds than that, but he's, been playing better, so his odds have come down a little bit. But it's typically my first round. Sadoshi Gadair, I believe, is at 130 to 1. I think he's probably coming back down to life. He was having, hit a couple Sadoshi Gadair first rounds. The putter, the guy was putting in Fuego. So if the putter goes, he could go. Patty Gazire, of course, I always like him for the bookends. First round, last round. Anyway, so this gives you some ideas for first round bets. And then also Tommy Lewis, 100 to 1. I like him for first round leader. You can see 175 to win a tournament. I don't think he's going to win a tournament, but for a first round leader, betting 100 to 1, I like that. I like Sagoshi Kadair. And then I already gave you guys my picks yesterday that I'm sticking with for the tournament. Hank Laboda. And then keep an eye on, there's somebody, maybe on Friday that, is falling back, but could have this is a course you could get super hot over the weekend and come from behind. So, if you like a guy that doesn't have really good odds now, check him out come Saturday, Friday, and, then make your bet and get a little better odds. Okay, that's it. That is my picks and bets for the Wyndham. Again, thank you for spending some time with me. Again, if you like what I do, click that like button, and don't forget my giveaway. Subscribe. Tell me who you think is going to win the FedEx playoffs. Get your name in that random generator. One of you are going to win $1,000. So that would be a nice little something towards the end of this. Been a really long season, but it's been fun. I'm still excited about this tournament. I kind of lean towards the tournaments that you have more volatility. You have guys like Jim Herman who can win. This is one of those tournaments. Yeah, you've got a couple of big names in here, but doesn't mean anything. Definitely, we could see whoever could win this thing. And if you have anything I can help you with, hit me up on YouTube comments and or on Twitter at DFS Golf Guru. All right, guys, all the best to you. Have a great tournament. And, of course, I will talk to you tomorrow. I will come out with my value show, ownership projections, weather, anything that we need to know, that I know that you need to know, you will know. And so I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. All right, have a good one.